2 years ago. So I just got back from California, where I was part of that musical theater program for the young Americans. So I traveled and I performed, and we worked in a drug rehab center, so we taught kids different dance moves, and so it was really an experience. I got back the first week, and I was home, and I received my first phone call from Vector. And none of my friends had known that I was home because they just wanted that week to digest and to get back into things before I was looking for a job. So I got that phone call, and my friend Raquel had recommended me. So she had just started working, and I had called her multiple times throughout the night, and I finally got hold of her. And I said, "How did you know I was home?" And she goes, "I didn't." And I was like, "Oh, what did you recommend me for?" And she's like, "I started this new job, and it's pretty awesome. Just go check it out. If you like it, great. If not, it's not for you, whatever." So I went in. I was pretty excited because she recommended me for a job, and I knew I had to get there eventually. It was my first week home. So I went in, and I was sold. The moment the penny cut through the shears, I was so impressed. I was like ecstatic. I was lucky enough to get the position, and I went home, and I tried to share my wonderful news with my parents. I was extremely impressed, and I tried to explain that to them, and they didn't quite understand it. So my mom's going to give her story shortly after myself here, so you'll get a view on her opinion. But I went home, and I was excited, and I was just really excited to be working with one of my friends from high school. I'd been gone for a year, so I'd been out of touch with a lot of people. So I was excited to start the summer off and make new friends as well. So my first summer, I was part of key staff, and I made some of my best friends. My best friend, Andrea Nace, she's in the company now, so I met her my very first summer. And we just worked along alongside each other, and I just loved the environment, being a part of the team. My first summer, we went camping, and we went whitewater rafting, and we were just always involved in things. We had a key staff barbecue at my house over the summer, and I made a lot of new friends, so I was really excited. That summer, we also went to Ottawa, and that was for the Conference of Champions. So that was at the end of the summer in August. This year, it is in Blue Mountain, so I'm pretty excited about that. But my first summer to be in Ottawa, it was an overnight trip, so I was there with all of my friends and to experience it. And I actually had to say goodbye to my parents at the end of the summer because I was then flying back out to LA. So I flew from Ottawa straight out to LA and went back to school. Then I had made auditions and auditioned for a tour with the Young Americans. So I made the West Coast tour, so I traveled with them for 3 months solid, every 3 days moving to a different city, training new people, and teaching their kids how to run a full activist show in 3 days. I came home over the Christmas break, and I stopped in and said hey to everyone in the office, but wasn't really a part of anything, and then made my second tour and went and traveled all across the United Kingdom for 3 months. I ended up getting a Facebook message from Lindsay Allery, so my district manager, and it was the end of March. And she said, "Hey, what are your plans for the summer? Are you coming back?" And I was like, wow, I'm not even in the country, and I'm offered my job back. So I was pretty excited about that, and I said I had to find out about tour, but I'll let you know. So I kept in contact, and I came home in April and didn't do a summer tour. And I was like, man, okay, I want to be part of this. So she said, well, what do you think about being a part of the office and being assistant manager? So I was promoted to a field assistant manager, and a week later I was promoted to assistant manager. So we move up pretty fast within the company here. So I was working alongside my best friend Andrea, and she was sales manager for the summer. So it was her and I and then Lindsay in the office all the time, and it was amazing. I was still selling on the side and just really enjoyed everything and all part of it, and being a part of the team, and just being able to influence other people. So we were part of key staff, and that summer we went last summer, we went to Laura Gorge, so we did tubing down the river and camping. I'm not a camper, but I loved it, and I loved being part of it with everyone. So in the fall, I decided not to go back to school because I wanted to audition to the opera program at Western to go and be an opera singer. So that's my dream, to be an opera singer one day. So I stayed home, and I was promoted to sales manager. So Andrea Nace went back to school, and I got to run the London office alongside with Lindsay Allery. So I was her side person and just helped with everything. There's a lot that goes inside and that goes on in the office that you are not aware of. Even key staff, you have no idea. I was blown away. So I learned so many different things. I was pretty much helping run her office on her dime, so it was pretty cool. So I then became a branch manager candidate and trained to run my own office. So now I'm running the office of the Burlington-Oakville area, and my parents helped me move everything into my office. My My dad is the first person I call in the middle of the day if I have a question about anything, or if I just had something really exciting happen. He's the first person I call. And everything I'm doing right now, it's not what I want to do with the rest of my life. I want to be an opera singer. I want to perform. I want to be on stage. I'm not always here, giving a speech on stage, but I want to sing and I want to perform. So being part of this isn't my dream in the long run, but I know everything I'm doing now is helping me hit that goal and to be what I want to be when I eventually get there. So everything I'm learning now is just going to make me that much farther ahead than everyone else who's my own age group. I know Aaron mentioned earlier tonight that he feels he's above all of his friends. My friends are still talk to me and they're like, what are you doing right now? You're still with that night thing? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, man, you're running your own office? I talked to you last year and you were in California. My roommates the other night, I was talking, they're like, wow, you're the most successful person I've ever met. I was like, I'm not that successful. I just do what I'm told and I just do it right and I just put my mind to it. And I talked to them, they're artists. And I said, if you want to do something, just put your mind to it and do it. I guarantee it'll fall into place and you'll be where you want to be if you just make that choice. So I had an audition in November for an opera teacher. Yeah, in opera it's that prestigious, you have to audition for them to be able to willingly teach you. So I auditioned and I went and I sang and I paid her for my audition and it was like my own little lesson. And we got just talking about what I do, what my life goals are, and where I want to go. Why am I taking opera lessons? And I said, I want to prepare myself for my audition for when I auditioned to the University of Western. And she goes, well, what are you doing right now? And I was like, well, I work with kitchen cutlery, and I sell knives, and I'm a sales manager. And she's like, you do what? And I'm like, well, it's really awesome. And I started explaining it to her, and she's like, oh, man, I need new knives. Like, that's so cool. And she's like, I love knives. I love to cook. And she has, like, really good quality German Henkel knives. And she's like, man, I need to check these Cutco out. So sure enough, she was just blown away by all the experience I had. And then I got talking about how I was sales manager and trainings from my own branch. She goes, well, if you're running your own office, why are you auditioning to school? I said, because it's a summer opportunity. She said, really? And I said, yeah, I just get to run my own office and I get to gain all of this experience, and then when I go to school, I'll be more prepared. So she was just very impressed with everything. So of course she took me on. She then wrote me an amazing reference letter for my application into Western, and she's a teacher and a professor that goes to Western. So then I just recently had my audition to Western, and I sang, and then there was a personal interview. I wasn't prepared at all for it. I wasn't even aware that there was an interview. So she called me over and she sat me down at the table and she just started asking me all of these questions. Now, I used to be a competitive dancer, so I would perform and dance in front of a lot of people, and that never made me nervous. But singing in front of people, it makes me a little nervous because you're entirely and utterly exposed. If you mess up, people are paying attention. They're watching, they're listening to you. So that's the way I've always felt about talking in front of people, because they're listening, right? You guys are listening to me, right? Yeah, you can hear me, so if I mess up, you're aware of what I'm saying. So with this interview, I've never felt so confident in my entire life to have someone judge me and to judge my responses. Whenever people judge you, and you always keep that in the back of your mind, so for that, for the interview, it was easy. I just talked to her and shared my story, and told her what I was doing, and told her about my experience, and what I was planning on doing, and how I'm going to be running my office for the summer. And she was really impressed, and it was easy. I aced it. It wasn't whether, it was okay, or she's holding my future in her hands, right? She has all that power for my next 4 years. What am I going to do? And I just talked to her like she was my best friend, or like someone that I was talking to in a rep. Today, I run interviews and I train people, so on a daily basis, I'm standing in front of a room talking in front of people. And if you would ask me to do that 4 years ago or even 2 years ago, even with all my experience as teaching with kids, when I went to Young Americans at first, it was still nerve-wracking. People are paying attention, they're following you, they're listening to you. But from being here and doing that on a daily basis and just learning it, it was amazing. It was like an unbelievable experience, and I just felt so confident. So there's many different things that I've learned from working here. Time management skills, organizational skills. If you ask my mom if I'm organized, she'll say no. But if you ask Lindsay if I'm organized, she'll say yes. I am like queen of organization. I can't stand if there's a pile and it has somewhere to go. It has to be somewhere. But if you ask my mom, she's like, no, you're the most disorganized person I know. So it's just being able to develop those skills. Other skills I've learned are just the confidence, communication skills, selling skills, showing skills. skills. Now, these are the type of skills that I'm going to use every day for the rest of my life. Not just to sell a ton of knives and to ship a lot of Cutco, but things that I'm going to use for my entire life. So the list goes on and on and on. But the things here from traveling and teaching, and I've always been a pretty outgoing person and pretty involved, but with Vector I've just become more confident in myself in every aspect in my life, and just being able to develop those skills on a daily basis. You know, watching my team, knowing that I'm the one that brought them here and gave them that opportunity, giving them their first promotions. We've had reps that, you know, just over the past weekend that hit their first promotion. That's so exciting to me, to be like, man, how can I guide you? How can I help you? What can I do to make you, like, hit your goals? Like, what do you want? What do you want to get out of it? What's your number one thing? My number one thing is to be an opera singer. That is my big dream. And I know that being here at the moment, that's not doing my number one thing, but everything I'm doing now and everything I'm learning right now is going to help me hit that goal. Because I know all these skills that I've achieved and that I've learned are going to help me every step of the day. And as long as I put in that attitude and have that right mindset, then I'm going to hit my goals.